behind bars for 2+ decades that weren't even there. Like, again, you don't have to like the Proud Boys. You don't have to like the way that Enrique Tarrio talks or acts. He wasn't in D.C. on the day of January 6th, and he's doing 2+ decades for an insurrection that never occurred. So where are we going with this? Because I see a lot of political prosecutions. I see them trying to shut down media outlets such as InfoWars, trying to put people like Bannon in prison. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Does this help or hinder Trump's election?
Well, personally, I think it's all political theater. I mean, the whole 34 felonies, quote unquote, it's a sham. It's a joke, on the whole justice system, what we think of the American justice system. But I think it's theatrics even then, because, I mean, Epstein was friends with the Clintons and Trump. If they were both being investigated for those ties, then I would be taking this a little bit more serious and be more emotionally invested. But because they're going with these other shenanigans, it's just distractions. And I feel this is my personal opinion. I feel it's to make Trump appear to be a martyr, a victim, and he's going to definitely win. And I think it's part of the plan. I think that's. I mean, you see Biden, he pooped in his pants, lying, he can't forget, or he forgets where to get off the stage, doesn't know his lines. It's so blatant that's at least that's what it appears to me, that's what the direction that they're heading.
Let me just say this, Weezy. That has been apparent since the moment they put him on the stage for the primary debates. 3-0 Joe couldn't get around, and that was clearly rigged for him. With regards to Epstein and Trump, let's save that. We got to take a quick break. We're going to talk about Epstein and Trump's comments recently on Fox and Friends regarding Epstein. It was rather interesting indeed, if you will. More in TNT after this.
Now, TNT Radio News.
It's hot, see? It's very hot.
It's hot news. So hot. Yeah, it's hot news. Hot news.
For TNT, this is James O'Neill. Former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich criticized the now-defunct House January 6th committee, claiming its findings were based on a false product and urging Congress to repudiate its activities. Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that meaningful peace talks with Ukraine can only begin if Ukrainian troops withdraw from the Donetsk, Lugansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia regions, which Russia now claims, and if Ukraine renounces its NATO membership aspirations.
The common housefly, caught in the clutches of the spider's web. Every move it makes just makes matters worse. Then, dinner time.
Feast on the captivating stories, videos, and helpful information on our website.
Whoa.
Dinner's ready.
Oh, man.
Escape is futile.
Just one more video.
Get stuck in our web.
TNT Radio.live.
We are back, and before we get into Trump and Epstein, I want to mention that Joe Kennedy, who is rather fun to watch in the political arena, he provides me with some laughs here and there, recently put Christopher Wray on the spot about Jeffrey Epstein and what they found in both his New York home and on the island. And, Christopher Wray gave the political answers that he couldn't really discuss ongoing investigations. And he was like, does that mean that there's ongoing investigations into others? Well, I can't make that comment, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, it's going nowhere, just like the Wiener laptop literally went nowhere when obviously there were more people involved in that situation. Then you have Donnie T. Over at Fox and Friends a couple weeks ago, kind of out of nowhere, the middle host, the female, goes, would you declassify the 9/11 documents? And I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting that. Without a beat, Donald Trump's like, yes. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then they go, what about the JFK documents? And he goes, yes. And then he caveats, and he goes, well, I already did declassify a bunch of those documents. No, Donald, you promised us those documents 2 times and you failed to deliver. So already, let's take all of this with a grain of salt. I would say the talking point itself really came from Bannon. What was it, 6 to 12 months ago, when he's like, and we're going to declassify the JFK documents, the RFK documents, the MLK documents, and the 9/11, and we're going to throw Epstein in the mix. As soon as they said Epstein, he was hesitant. He's like, well, yes, I guess so. And then if you watch the extended clip, he literally says, well, 9/11 and JFK more interest me more than Epstein. So there is obviously a relationship there. In fact, in the media, I'm not sure if you're aware, and I don't know whether the story's true or not, but I was never afraid of reporting on everything that was out there, including the Filthy Rich book before it became a Netflix documentary that talked about Trump's relationship. But there's a report out there that basically Epstein's the one that rounded up Melania with about 19 other women. And it was the model party for Trump's third wife. And if you don't think that Donald Trump is the type of transactional billionaire that will have women come in and parade around him as a job opportunity, I don't know that you've been paying attention to Donald Trump. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to get your thoughts on that 5-minute rant I just went through.
Epstein-Trump connection for a while, before he got elected, because they were all, the signs were all there. But I was attacked, you're anti-Trump, you're this and that. And I lost a lot of potential followers because of that. But to me, it was clear. It wasn't just because, he's got a Republican, by his name now, even though he was a lifelong Democrat. I mean, the signs were all there. And then the Miami Herald had an article regarding the court case with the Maxwell, that Trump was on that damn plane 7 times, at least 7 times. And so what I ask myself, and what I ask anyone else that still believes in the plan, quote unquote, is why does someone that have their own plane need to ride on Epstein's plane 7 times?
Well, let me just say
that's a question.
Let me just say this. So before that article came out, there's actually, I believe it was a Vanity Fair article, and anybody can go check it out, where the writer is there with Trump, and they're on Trump's plane, and they're waiting for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and he's late. And like the quote from Trump is, you can't be late for other people's planes, Jeffrey. So alluding to the fact that not only is Jeffrey Epstein welcome on his plane, but that obviously he has been on Epstein's planes as well. Continue.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, the people that are hardcore Trump followers will make every excuse on the book. Well, he kicked them out of his club, or, it's all mythologies based on what one attorney, even though there were thousands of, potential Epstein victims. I mean, come on now.
So you're talking about Bradley, I can't remember what his name is, Brad something or other. Is he's the one that talked about that instance with Derek Bros, who we have on the program every week, and said that essentially of everybody that he had contacted, Trump was the one person to talk to him. Now, whether or not he was kicked out of the club because of Virginia Giuffre Roberts is still a possibility. As with the 2017 dumps, there were some of the handwritten letters to the father of Giuffre. That was definitely the person at Mar-a-Lago that supposedly set that off. But then you had other reports in the press that the reason that their relationship soured was over a property deal. Yeah, where he and Epstein, yes, where they had looked at a property and Epstein had essentially undercut him, and that is why they broke up. The truth of the matter is, we don't really know, right? We don't know the intricacies of their relationship, but we do know this: when Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, Donald Trump wished her well. And by the way, Jeffrey Epstein, again, this is the executive, and I don't put all the fault on Trump on this, but they put Jeffrey Epstein in an institution in Metro that had not had a suicide in 13 years, and they felt it was safe enough to hold El Chapo in. El Chapo, who had escaped from other prisons around the world more than once. safe enough for Metro. And they didn't give that type of treatment to Jeffrey Epstein, possibly the most high-profile criminal in all of American history with his connections. Instead, they put him into Gen Pop to allegedly try to commit suicide not once, but twice.
Right. Yeah, the whole thing's preposterous. And then Bill Barr claiming he was going to get to the bottom of it. And did he ever get to the bottom of it? And people say, well, Epstein was arrested under the Trump administration. He also died allegedly of suicide under
and
the
let me say this, arrested under the Trump administration locally from the SDNY. And for everything that everybody knows about the corruption of the Southern District of New York and what is going on in court cases there now, I allege that there were just so many people on the local level that were fed up with Epstein that had seen this, especially because we have people like Maria Farmer who said they went to law enforcement all the way back in 1996, NYPD and FBI. And it wasn't the FBI that arrested Epstein. No, it was through the Southern District of New York. I think that was the wild card. Again, I'm being speculative, but I always put out there when I'm being speculative, you got to look at the evidence. Brother, we have run out of time. Let people know where they can find the What is Truth podcast and how they can support your work.
You can just follow me by searching What is Truth podcast by Weezy on all the major podcast platforms. I'm also on Rockfin, Odyssey, now Rumble. And thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. Guys, the weekend flies by. Final segment of the show. John Klychik, New School Order.